Twins left. Check zone. Check zone. All right, we're going to get Brown. 570. Wide curl on 2.
4-3 step smash strong. Open cannon, Mike Pop.
Good evening, and welcome to In the Huddle. I'm Gary Thompkins, WVU safety, 1995 through 1999. Joining me this evening, fellow Mountaineers, Tony Richardson, defensive tackle, 1991 and 1992. Also, we have Ed Green, offensive tackle, 1994 through 1998. Gentlemen, let's break the huddle.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Let's do it.
This week, we're going to be here talking about the game against Baylor. WVU had a horrible showing, and it's easy to see.
Yeah.
Tell me, what was your synopsis of the game?
Well, to start out, I thought we did pretty. We didn't come out as flat as we did as the previous week. So there's that glimmer of hope.
Okay.
But then that submarine got sunk somewhere later on. You know, I think I don't know. We had what I would consider a strong level of commitment in the beginning. I thought we were hanging in there. We were making some mistakes, but again, the penalties started to creep up on us. And then what I noticed is the game progressed more and more as penalties started to accrue, and then mistakes started to happen. The confidence just left the building, and right then and there was it was the writing on the wall. And then what I saw going towards into the fourth quarter, there was a huge separation between Baylor and West Virginia. Okay. It seemed like, you remember when you were a kid and you're playing in the yard with some of the older guys, your uncles and stuff like that? It seemed like they were able to do stuff on command on us. And that's a mental thing. That's what I talked about last week. Mentally, I just think that we fracture and then it just breaks. And that's what I think happened.
That's a good call.
There's a lot to talk about with this game. There are many mistakes made. There were missed opportunities.
Yes, sir.
But tell me, Tone, going into the game, how did you feel the Mountaineers were fair?
You know what, Gary, going into the game, I thought, we had a chance to do something special.
Yeah.
I thought there was an opportunity there for us to go down to Baylor and maybe pull out the upset. However, as the game progressed, and there's certain things we talked about on our previous shows, and they still stick out. Mental mistakes was one of the problems that I've seen. No pass rush. Now, I've been saying that for a while now, and we're still not getting to the quarterback enough to make him nervous back there. Yeah. Turnovers is always something that's going to be a problem. But, Gary, I'm going back to what you and I do is defense. You would think in West Virginia football, you scored 38 points, you should win a ball game.
That's right.
Yeah.
Would you say that, Ed? You would think. Now, I get it. I know we're in the Big 12. They score a lot of points. I understand that. However, what I thought was going to be the backbone of this team was going to be our defense. And I have to say, being a defensive player, I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Because that's not happening. And you being a fellow DB, can you tell me real quick, what is going on back there? Is Carl Joseph that much of a difference?
Yeah.
This is where I want to comment on the defensive secondary, because this is an area in which I have some knowledge. I played here as a safety, 3-year starter, played under Van Washington, who was a guy who was probably one of the smartest football players that I've ever been around.
Okay.
Now, what I see in watching the game, I tend to watch the games like we watch film.
Yes, sir.
I turn it down.
Yeah.
I don't have any sound, and I just watch our players as they play. I try to figure out who's going to make a smart play.
Okay.
And what I saw that was the problem on defense is that we had guys lined up incorrectly.
Yeah.
That blown coverages.
Fundamental stuff.
Not playing smart football. Yeah. So when I'm playing in the secondary and I'm a corner and I have a guy with a wide split and there's no one else between him and the tackles, then I would cheat inside because I recognize that the route he can beat me on is a slant, and that's the easiest throw for the quarterback. I saw defensive backs jamming at receivers, stepping with the outside leg and giving the open release. Not really challenging, and that's the problem that I have with the team right now, or at least our defensive secondary. But again, we have lots to talk about in this game. So let's start with the first quarter. Things opened up pretty quickly. Yeah. Baylor ran down the field. They did what they do. We answered We
Yes,
answered
we
the
did.
call.
Yes, we did.
So it appeared that we were going to be in a tight football game. Offensively, tell me what happened, or how would you feel going against one of the top-ranked offenses in the nation, and then you're able to show that you can go out there and put up points too. What's your feeling after 7-7 tie?
Well, then the confidence barrier is there. It's there in the beginning because you're like, man, the boogeyman this week is Baylor. They're highly ranked. We didn't have a couple weeks of showing, but then you get on the field and you take that first punch, and then you've delivered one yourself, and the confidence is there. Mm-hmm. Now listen, they ain't that bad. I'm in the huddle. I'm like, we got this. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna blow us out, and we're gonna put up some points just like they're gonna put up some points. But we're gonna be in the duel here, and it seemed like that confidence was there, but briefly.
Okay.
It's like do the Mountaineers, do the players really believe in themselves, in their system? Because that's what I was seeing. I mean, when they were zooming in on those cameras and I saw those eyes wandering and people kind of looking off, and
Story out.
I could see it. As players, if I see somebody across the field from me,
Okay.
and I see that, I know I got you.
Okay, there you go.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because
There you go.
this game is a game of what? It's a game from the shoulders up. We always learn that.
Absolutely.
We're talking about something that a lot of people don't talk about, and that is football mentality. We're
Right.
talking about football intelligence, smarts on the field, playing
sir.
smart, being smart. How important is that for us now as a team that is looking at a 3-3 record and still lots of Big 12 play?
Well, you know what, Gary? I think it goes back to being consistent, and we have to eliminate the mental errors. And if you recall, JT and I and Alex Shook and all the other panels and guests that was on the show, one of the things we talked about was eliminating mental mistakes. And unfortunately here, after being 3-3, you're still seeing those same type of mistakes. So we need to eliminate. We're not a good enough team to overcome some of these mistakes that we're having.
Right.
So that's a little disappointing. You would think just late in the season that those type of penalties will go away a little bit. Misalignments just late in the season, you would wonder why are we still doing this. And I'm gonna go back to something else, and I know my partner that was here, JT, would be smiling, laughing at me. I said, throw the ball to the tight end. Guess what happened? Who was open? Cody Clay. Was wide open, and we hit him for a touchdown. Now, granted, I'm not going to say that's going to be open all the time. However, I've been harping on that, and it was good to see. I know Cody Clay was happy. Someone announced him that he got the ball. So, you know what, Gary? I guess to glaze over what you just said, it's a little disappointing, but I'm a Mountaineer guy. I think we will get this thing turned around, and hopefully we'll get better.
Yeah.
Here's another question.
Okay.
Sitting at 3-3, in the middle of our schedule, just as many games left, what do you predict the Mountaineer season to finish at?
I still have confidence that we'll finish strong. I think going back to what you were saying last week, it's it's about the team coming together and making a decision about who they are. And we've seen this before. We've been through it, where we have to get over this mountain where you're like, man, I know we're better than this, but we're just not producing. They're going to have to take it upon themselves to make up that decision of who the Mountaineers is going to be. That's really what it's going to boil down to. Who are we? Who are we?
I think that goes back to identity. I know me and Gary speak on a lot of different occasions about who are we? What do we do? What do we do well? And I think we need to find out what do we do well. Yeah. Sometimes we can run it, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can throw it, sometimes we can't. What are we? And to answer your question, I think we're gonna go 75. I'm gonna go out there. Boy, I'm going out there right now. I'm going out there. I'm saying 75. Therefore, I'm giving up
that was
two
my
more
prediction.
games.
That was my prediction.
Yeah, I'm going 75.
That's what
I think we're going to get this thing turned around. We got some good games coming in our house after we get done with this TCU game, which I'm sure we'll talk about here shortly. But I think if we identify who we are, go down here to TCU next week, have a good showing, have some confidence. I would love to come out with the W. Because I don't like to give up nothing. I don't like to feel that we're going out there to lose. I'm not going down to Texas to lose. I know if I'm on that flight, I'm coming down there to take care of business. So I'm hoping that these young Mountaineers feel the same way, and we can come back and get on the right track. sometimes, Gary, it takes a win.
That's right.
You get that win, and you know, I think our last win was Maryland. That was a while ago. I mean, I think we still have leaves on the trees, but we gotta turn it around where we need to get back in that win column and start playing Mountaineer football.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I mean, they just simply need to bite down and decide that they're going to turn this boat around.
Okay, this is the part of the show where we turn it over to the audience. We have a trivia question for the audience. Anyone, just please raise your hand. Which Mountaineer offensive player was the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Good question. Who do we have there?
Sheldon Gibson.
Outstanding.
Oh, good.
Outstanding.
All right, good answer, good answer. We have koozies for those answering the questions correctly. So we'll give you one after the show.
Absolutely. Good job, young man. Good
Thank you.
job.
All right.
Getting back to the football game.
All right.
Talking about, we're still in the first quarter.
Yeah, still in.
Baylor receiver has 96 yards, I believe, on 3 or 4 catches in the first quarter. On his way to average to almost a 400-yard football game.
Insane
Receiving.
numbers. Insane numbers.
Insane numbers that you should never see from a receiver corps.
Never.
15 touchdowns, though, already on the season. Is this receiver that good, or is our defense that bad?
Well, I'm going to go listen to what my coach said. Coach Holgerson said. He said that the young man, the wide receiver, his name escaped me, but we know who he is. The one that's throwing all the touchdowns. He was a guy that he said reminds him of another guy that played here named Tavon Austin, but he thought he was a little bit more bigger than Tavon.
Yeah.
He said a little more friskier, and he got a chance to see him up and close, and he gets a chance to see him in film. Well, the Mountaineers got a chance to see him up and close. And he was everything what they said he was. The guy was elusive, the guy was dynamic, and he had that swagger that we talk about as athletes, that I'm the best player on the field. And he went out there and proved it. And so I looked at Baylor, and I think we talked about it last week. What they like to do is spread you out, get their best receiver on one of your cornerbacks that are not that good, right, and go at it. And it just seemed like, their offensive coordinator, they had a plan. They knew what they wanted to do, and they attacked us. And that's what bothered me as far as being a defensive guy. They attacked us, and I don't know what adjustments did we make to stop them from attacking.
Any adjustment that was made didn't work.
They counteracted.
And man, we talked about this last week, and you hit the nail on the head. And normally I like to talk offense, okay? But this is, when I look at defense, like you said, where's the boogeyman? You need to know where this pass rush is coming from. If I'm just going to let this quarterback sit in there and do what he wants to do, especially when he's got athletes around him like that, how much can a D-back really do, Gary? If he's got all the time in the world to sit and play his feet and time his reads, and we're not flushing that quarterback, we're not moving him around, we're not even putting any fear into him.
Right. Yeah.
He's not. It's like the D-line is irrelevant. We need that guy on the front line that's gonna be fierce.
Right now it seems to be all doom and gloom for the Mountaineer team. I have to tell you, for every Mountaineer fan out there, we do have special guys, we do have special players.
Yeah.
At this point, I cannot tell what the disconnect is. I think we do have an offensive coach or a coordinator that can call plays and get us to moving the ball. We see every week that we put up big numbers still.
Absolutely.
We still have running backs with over 100 yards rushing. We have receivers getting close to the 100 yards, sometimes over.
The numbers are there.
Yeah. The numbers are there. What do you think is the problem for this team? And even, again, on both sides of the ball.
Right.
What do you do to fix the Mountaineer team at this point in the season?
Well, I think turnovers. Turnovers again. It's still the root of why there are L's where there should be W's. Okay. Now Baylor is a tough team. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. Had we been on our best day, we still may have came out with an L, okay? Because we were in the battle no matter what. But should we have laid down and rolled over like we did? No. But at the same time, we can't. Like Tone said, we're not good enough of a team to recover from those type of mistakes. And when you're in a big show like that, it's got to be wired tight. Now, I think on the defensive side of the ball, I think there's some frustration I started to see.
Okay.
And you know how it is when the team ain't clicking and moving in the same direction, as old Don Neely used to always say. There was a lot of truth to that. If we're not moving in the same direction and everybody's going their separate ways, we're really not that strong. But once there was that movement within that team and everybody's on the same page, we felt invincible when we had those type of days. It didn't matter who we played. So I kind of think on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, it's a hard question to ask, but I'll tell you how I'd like to answer it. By showing up on practice on Tuesday and Wednesday.
That's right.
And seeing how that practice rolls, because we all know, and you probably heard it a million times if you're an athlete yourself, you will play like you practice, and nothing could be more truer than that. And if your practice is weak on Tuesday and Wednesday, when it's really those hard practices, game day is not going to look too good.
I agree with you, Ed. You know, I wish there was enough time in the day, enough hours in the week for me to get to a practice and to be able to make what I feel is a good self-assessment, and be able to look at our team, decide for myself as we do this show what it is, at least to give an honest opinion on what it is that I think is going wrong.
Okay.
Because there's something that we can see on Saturdays, that's one thing.
Right.
But there's a difference in the day-to-day activity. You can tell if the players bond.
Okay.
You can tell if they bond with the coaches.
Right.
And that's something that I can't say right now. And I don't mean that to be anything against our players or against our coaches. It's just something that I don't know about. So I'd like to take that time to get over to the field, maybe watch a Tuesday or Wednesday practice. Right. Let's see what they're like in the locker room after a loss.
Okay.
Hopefully there won't be too many more of those this season. But we'd like to see what they're like after a loss. See what makes our team stick together, or are they even gelling together at all right now? We want to look at some numbers. I'm not real big on numbers because I know what numbers tell you. Numbers tell you that Sean Foreman shouldn't get a chance to play in the NFL, when all I did was watch him run past defensive backs and score touchdowns. Okay? So
Game after game.
Right, so numbers don't really tell you as much. They give you an assessment, but you don't really have a good idea. But I want to talk about some of our offensive numbers. 5.7 yards per play.
That's moving the ball, man.
471 yards total offense. 6 of 17 on third down compared to 4 of 13 for Baylor.
Yep.
Now, what's happening here? A defense is getting scored on. But when you hear these numbers, it's a rare chance that you see a team put up 471 yards and end up with an L and only one turnover.
Sure.
Now, look in comparison, which is going to bring me to another question. In comparison, 693 total yards of offense for Baylor.
That's a lot of offense.
Is that like a mile? That's a couple miles, ain't it?
Is that a video game? That's a lot of yards.
8.2 yards per play. Almost a first down every time they touch the ball.
Gee whiz.
4 of 5 on fourth down conversions.
4 or 5.
Now, what does that tell you? Who has the confidence to go for it on fourth down 5 times in a ball game?
With those type of stats, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm going to go back to what you just said earlier. You said don't be doom and gloomy, but after reading them stats.
Yeah, you just broke me down, man.
I'm going to tell you, after reading them stats there, Mr. Thompkins, it ain't Christmas around here. I tell you that much. But you're right. Stats can be deceiving. You know, I didn't know we did that well as the way you just told me. But it just seems to me, at the end of the day, they were just better than us. On that given day. Now I'm not gonna say we played up the mall and they beat us. I'm just saying on that Saturday, they were the better team. They looked very confident. They seemed totally in control. They knew what they wanted to do.
Right.
We all play the game sometime, but you ever play the game sometime, you be like, they gonna win this game. These guys feel very, very confident. Like no matter what we do, they got to count. They have something in their back pocket that they feel we're okay. We are driving this ship, and even though the games were kind of close, but I think even listening to Coach Hogan's press conference, he's like, "What? We lost by 30." That's a lot of points.
That's
a lot of points. I ain't say 3.
That's
right.
it. Yeah.
30.
30.
That's a lot
But, you know,
of points.
I think, but, you know, the philosophy of football has changed since we played the game. We always heard defense wins games. Well, now it seems like offense wins games because these numbers, like I said last week, are astronomical. So, you know, I don't know how we answer the call. And, you know, and going from for an offensive standpoint, listening to those stats, it sounds like our play calling, it wasn't conservative at all.
Right.
We were trying to air it out.
So this is something that makes me want to ask this question, and it's something I've been wanting to hold on to for a while because I didn't feel like it was something I should ask. But when you hear these numbers and you look at the production that we're getting, you look at our team and how we're faring over the last few years, we are consistently around the 7-5, 6-6 mark. Now, what I want to tell everybody out there is the reason I like doing this and the reason I like being with these guys here because I know them, but not just because I know them, because they're going to tell me the truth. And that's the difference between a fan and a fanatic. A fanatic tell you their team always good and they're the best team, and no matter what happens, they're going to win the game.
Eagles.
What you hear is consistently from the panel. We give you good advice. We can go ahead and give good commentary on the game and tell you what we truly feel.
Absolutely.
As Tony said earlier, he predicted a 7-5 year. Now, I'm asking this question for the regular fan out there that watched the Mountaineers go from a decent, competitive team in the Big East and now switching over to the Big 12. As former players, as fans, do you think we bit off more than we could chew by joining the Big 12?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You want to take that one, Ed? I'll tell you what, I'll jump on this one.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
That's a tough one because that's been a question that has been circling around every bathroom, every place where people gather when they want to talk about, you know, us being in the Big East and now we're in the Big 12, or we're going to be a team in the Big 12 that's happy to be in the Big 12, finish 6-6, 7-5, go to a bowl game. Some bowl games someone don't even want to go to. You know what I mean? Is that where our football team going to? And that's what it is. You know, if we're going to talk honestly.
That's right.
And that's just the only thing I know. Where we in the Big 12, where we're playing for championships and things of that nature. Well, you know what? We're here now in the Big 12. It's no sense of crying about it because this is where we at. We wanted to be here. Guess what? We're here. And these teams not going to take it easy on us. As a matter of fact, you know what's funny, Gary? Today I was in the a Big 12 housing conference, and it was all the Big 12 members there. And today, and Texas A&M and Texas TCU and everybody else, and they was talking about their program and the do's and they don'ts and things of that nature. And I was very proud today to show them our university, you know, because I'm very proud of what WU. But then we got into the conversation about football. And of course, the Oklahoma guy was behind me, and the Baylor guy was next to me, and the Oklahoma State guy was right next to me, and the TCU guy, he's in the back. And he said, "What is going on with your program?" And I said, "You know what? The worm will turn sooner or later." Well, he said, "Well, that worm better daggone turn because it might get real ugly next Thursday." But I just think, in given time, we're in the Big 12. We can't cry about it no more. This is where we at, and we got to get better, and we have to compete. And that's just the bottom line. Yeah. We're not going nowhere. We're not going to the ACC. We're not going to the Southern Conference. We are in the Big 12. Yeah. So let's make the best of it. Let's adapt to it, and let's start winning football games.
Yeah, that's the attitude you got to have. Absolutely. I mean, we're here. Doesn't matter what the decision is before. It's what we got to deal with. It was a big surprise to me. Our culture and the way that we play. I thought we would, if we were to move from the Big East, it would probably be the ACC or SEC at the very least. The Big 12 was a really big surprise to me when that announcement came. But like Tom said, we're here. And if there's any university, any squad that can turn it around, it's WVU. And I'm not talking as a fanatic or even as a fan. I just know how our hearts beat here. We've been over the barrel a little bit here, but I think that we're going to recover. Okay. And we're going to be okay in the Big 12. And, you know, we might do our seven win season this year, but at some point it's really going to turn around. And like we started to wear people down and be a force to reckon with in the Big East for all those years, that's going to come back.
What do you feel, Gary? We didn't hear your point on that.
I'm going to answer my own question.
Okay.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay, buddy.
I'm going to answer my own question. I just want to throw it out there because you're right. It's in every locker room. It's in every bathroom, gas station, anybody that recognizes you as a former Mountaineer or anyone that wants to talk Mountaineer football. Right. This has been the question of recent times. So what I'm going to say is, no, we did not bite off more than we could chew. What I would say that whenever you are a competitor, you're a competitive athlete, you want to be in the best conference possible.
Yep.
Whatever level you're on, you want to get to the next level. So if that means right now that you got to get knocked down a few times, all it's going to do is make you stronger.
That's right.
And it's going to teach you how to get up.
That's right.
So I'm just answering that question for the fans, answering my own question because I knew it was out there. Gives us a chance to move on though. We've now reached another point in the show where we get to ask trivia questions to the audience. This week's or the next trivia question is a question about quarterbacks. Who was the last quarterback from WVU who came from the state of Alabama?
Oh, that's a good one. Who made that one up? That's a good one.
You might want to.
Any takers?
Y'all seriously can't be stumped on that one. Maybe they didn't hear you.
Again, who was the last WVU quarterback who came from the state of Alabama?
I tell you what, I'll make it a lot easier. Okay, hold up. Oh!
Oh, I was getting ready to say it, man.
Thank you, sir. We'll give you a koozie at the end of the show. Now, for all of the fans out there watching us, don't forget to join us Wednesday nights at 6, live at Saberton Station. Or you can visit us at the dpost.com, Thursdays at 4 o'clock. Now let's move on to positives. We talk so much about what's going on with the team right now, that there's been some negatives or that we've had this 3-game slide. We're 3-3, maybe looking at a 500 season or 75 season. What positives can we take from the Baylor game?
Well, first of all, those stats that you threw out on the offensive side, we seem to be doing something right. And if you can do those numbers against Baylor, everybody talks about Baylor and their big numbers, but their defense is pretty strong too. Okay. They're pretty formidable, one of the best in the country. And we put up some numbers that would normally defeat other teams up against one of the best defenses in the country. Now, I got to ask, I didn't check this stat, but up to everybody that Baylor has played up to WVU, how many other teams put those kind of numbers up on Baylor? So you got to think, at least on the offensive side of the ball, there's a huge bright star right there saying, okay, we have something. We got talent on our team. You would not be here in Morgantown playing on the Mountaineers if you didn't. We got a talent. We have a star-studded team. We just need people to really rise to the occasion. People need to play how they know how to play. And I think we'll be fine. I really think it's just a matter of an adjustment.
Okay. Okay.
Tony, any positive that you can see?
Well, again, going back to your stats, I think Skylar Howard played one of his better games. Looked at his numbers. Played okay. I thought he played okay overall. We ran the ball as I look at the stats. I think it's a matter of time of putting it all together. And I think it all comes back to being consistent. Consistency. Doing what we do over a period of time all the time. I think sometimes we have breakdowns on third down. And you and I both know that's not a good thing. I did hear that we were 6 for 17 on third down conversions.
6 of 17.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, as far as me remembering it. but one of the things, as I'm looking at this team, and they're all out positive. I cannot question these young men's effort. They're flying around. They're trying. They want to get better. They're trying to do what they have to do. And I think this team here, as Hoganson said today, we got a lot of young ball players. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. But sooner or later, them freshmen and sophomores are going to turn into juniors and seniors. And they will be in turn given the beans. So sometimes we just got to learn from this. Don't get so overwhelmed over the record right now. I understand that we set a standard of West Virginia football and how we expect it. Sometimes you got to go a little bit back before you go a little bit forward. I'm still expecting a 75 season. I'm not going to let them off the hook that easy. But hopefully we'll get better.
I'm going to give some of my positives about the game. I know we beat up on the offense here the last couple of weeks. There's some things that we expect. What I've noticed is the last few times I've been on the show, is the offensive line is sort of taking the challenge that we set out for them.
Absolutely.
And they're holding their own.
Okay.
Another positive, Lindell Smallwood.
Yeah.
Still, over 100 yards rushing.
He's having a good year.
Yes.
He's a hot back. He needs some more touches.
We saw glimpses of a young Quan White.
Yeah.
Our other receiver, David Stills, a young freshman, supposed to be playing quarterback, going out there and making big plays for us. 1 turnover. Those are some of the positives that I saw that I think that we can take and try to build on this game, because again, we have a young team. Young teams need to be stroked and told that they're good and give them some confidence. Make sure that they go out there and play hard. So we have some positives. On defense, it's very hard to look for something, because since the absence of Carl Joseph, it seems like we've lost a lot. I have to say that there have been a couple of players on defense, especially in the secondary, that I expected to sort of take over that role as leader or to take over the role as the dominant player, and they haven't done it. So I'm still a little bit down on our defense for that. And we also, as you mentioned, the defensive line, getting pressure on the quarterback. But is that the scheme? With only having three defensive linemen,
it's designed. Yeah, the 3-3-5 is designed to stop the pass, right? So you have to sacrifice something.
But the problem is, you and I work in tandem. If they're giving up a lot, if I'm giving up a lot of yards on defense in the secondary, at some point I'm going to look at Tone and say, "Hey, man, what you doing? Help me out here."
I've been that Huddle before. And them DBs, they don't hesitate to say that. They're going to challenge you and be like, "Hey, we can't cover all day." And that's a very good point, Gary. I think we didn't touch on the defense. We've been focused on the offense a little bit. We need to look at our defense. And one of the things I've said, and I hate to keep hitting on the same thing over and over, we have to generate pressure. And I'm going to go back to an NFL thing as far as watching my New York Giants play on Monday night. We need a pass rush. West Virginia University needs a pass rusher. Now, Pierre Paul is the pass rusher for the Giants. We identify him. We need him back. We need to identify a pass rusher on this West Virginia team. Again, I'm going to go back again. We had Bruce Irvin. We had Gary Stills. We had Canute Curtis. We had guys that will get you double-digit sacks. Granted, that was in a 4-3 defense, except for Bruce Irvin.
Bruce worked in that system.
So we need to find whoever it is, if it's a lineman, if it's one of those million safeties we got back there in that 3-3-5 or whatever, we have to identify someone that can get up. These quarterbacks, they're too good to give them time. They're just flat out too good. And if they can sit back there and pick you apart, they will.
You know, but that goes back to what he's saying. You know, is it the scheme? You know, I don't see a whole lot of, you know, do we sacrifice any of those corners or whatever to come down and take a shot at that quarterback? I don't see a whole lot of that happening. It seems like it's just kind of zoning.
Well, the problem with the scheme, which don't want to criticize, is just a question to throw out there. We're just talking football. But I don't want to criticize, but if we're going to give up the pass rush, then we got to stop the pass. So if we're giving that up, and the wide receiver still has 96 yards in the first quarter, then there's still something wrong.
Is that a disconnect?
There's a huge disconnect. Something wrong. And I'll be honest with you, somebody got to get mad out there.
Everybody.
Somebody got to get a penalty. That was Barry Green and Oz Rule when something went wrong, when it went down. Who getting the penalty? Who getting the penalty? We just gonna hit one of them.
I do recall that. You got some penalties.
We just gonna hit one of these receivers
while
they're running across to send a message because they running too. It's going down right now. We tired of it. We're not gonna be a victim.
Well, but you got. I think. I hate to go back. It's not really a negative. I'm not going. That's not where I'm going with this particular statement. But it seemed like when Carl Joseph got hurt, it ripped the spirituality out of the defense.
It did. I'm going to tell you that because body language says it.
I'm going to go a little bit back. I'm going to go to what the big guys who sits in this chair normally would say. Next man up.
That's the mentality.
Next man up.
Actually, the next man up has to be even nastier than the man
that
he just
next
went
man
down
up. That if he's here, he has to be pretty talented to get here.
Yeah.
He has to have something to earn him a scholarship. No, is he Charles Jones? No, he's not. But daggone, he should be halfway. He should be pretty daggone good.
Where's the fire? Where's the screaming,
You know what I mean?
jumping and hollering?
I used to get that from KJ Dillon. You know what I mean? A Floridian boy.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That was fired up boy. That was fired up, ready to play football. I haven't seen it. You know, and I think he's the closest one to the next leader. Gary's kind of being nice with you guys. You know what I mean? He's not putting guys on blast. You know what I mean? If we football and we was talking outside without these mics, he'd be talking a little bit different. But since we are on the mic and we're on the internet or whatever, you know, he's being a professional. But you know, heart to heart, I think if my WV guys are watching this show, they know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's time to step up, boys. It's time for you guys to do what you guys do. Y'all very talented young men. Y'all got the opportunity to play this game at the highest level. You're the only show in the state. WVU football. You ain't no other pro team. It's just you guys. So you got the faith of everybody around you guys. Step up here and play this game.
I hope Marshall heard that. The only show in the state. So getting back to some of the comments, I think Tone right. I am being a little nice to the guys because I want to try to make sure that we come off as WVU fans. I've been around town at times, and if I talk about our team, it seems like if I offer any sort of criticism or critique on the team, people get mad at me.
Yeah.
And they say, you're not a real Mountaineer.
Like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, hold on.
You ain't run no gases. You ain't pushing no weights. But this is the truth, and I think you're right. If we call the names, then you're right. Dylan is one of those guys that I'd like to see step it up because I honestly felt like he was the Dennis Smith to the Steve Atwater.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, he was the guy that even without Steve Atwater, if you came back there playing, you was gonna get it handed to you. And he's been lost for the last couple of games.
Yeah.
So I've just been wanting to have a chance to just talk about where we were with this defense, where we were with our team. We have an email question.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and give this one in honor of our esteemed host, JT Thomas.
Hey, we miss you, big guy.
This question comes from JT Thomas, who is celebrating his 43rd birthday. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to JT.
Happy birthday,
Say happy birthday, big bro.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Guy that I like, that I always liked since coming here, one of the elders that introduced me to WVU football.
Yes, he did.
It gave me an opportunity to enjoy my college experience. And just one of the guys that I looked up to and it helped me along in my career, in my transition. So we're going to move on to the question, which is, can the panel give a rationale as to why we ran successfully as the boot and waggle play one time, scored a touchdown by throwing the ball to the tight end, and never came back to that play?
Good question.
Anybody watching the show know JT is obsessed with the boot and waggle.
He likes the boot and waggle.
Could any of you comment on why we had success with that play and didn't come back to it?
I think we had success with it because it was unexpected. Okay, it's out of our normal rhythm. So they probably didn't even see it. If you watch any film on WVU, if I'm Baylor, I wouldn't have even seen that play before. So that's what gave it its ability to work. Okay, now just because it worked once, don't mean it's gonna keep working.
That's right.
That's pretty, so those are the type of plays that you gotta have to kind of, season the game with a little bit.
You can't eat it all the time.
Yeah, you can't be like, oh, we're coming back with the waggle. No, because it's gonna get shut down. So that's what I think.
This is an old football play. It may have worked because of, like you said, we don't see a whole lot of it on our film work, and we don't have a whole lot of it going on.
Another thing too is that it don't have to be a boot and waggle to the tight end. We can do other plays to the tight end.
You can modify it.
It doesn't have to always be that waggle to the tight end. And I'm not saying the tight end is going to win all the games for you. I'm just saying it can open some things up that you can spitball off it and do something else different off it. And that's the whole thing with, I think, JT, and the point I was making is that we don't throw the ball enough to Cody Clay or whatever tight end that we have in there, doesn't mean that it's always going to work during the waggle, but there's other sets and other things we can do that can maybe open up something else.
Right.
Agreed. I think the panel agrees. We just need to continue to try to play football, versify our playbook,
Absolutely.
and use whatever works for us. So great email question, JT. We miss you here. Again, we appreciate you, and we just want to say happy birthday.
Yes.
Fans and fanatics, please remember us. Wednesday evenings, 6 p.m. live at Saberton Station. You can come down and enjoy this experience with us, former WVU football players. We like to meet you, we like to talk with you, and we like to get some of your opinions as well and hear a little bit more from the audience. If you're not able to come down, please watch us online, thedpost.com, Thursdays by 4 p.m. If you have an email question, please send your emails to inthehuddle@thedpost.com.
You want me to take the next question, Gary? Or you want to keep moving on?
No more questions tonight.
Okay.
from email commentary. But I will like to move on to the TCU game.
Okay.
Obviously, fellas, we have a lot of time. We have basically another week and a half to prepare for TCU. Preseason said the TCU was going to be just as dangerous as a Baylor team. We have seen TCU put up phenomenal numbers in the last, I would say, 5 years, maybe even longer.
Very consistent, absolutely.
Very consistent football team. Consistency, something you talk about.
Yes, sir.
What should we expect from the Mountaineers, offensively and defensively, going into the TCU game, especially with the amount of time that we've had to prepare?
We should expect, and I hope that we see, reckless abandon on both sides of the ball. Baylor was redemption. We had that opportunity. It was a missed opportunity. We unfortunately came home with the loss. But now we have some time to regroup, get ready. I hope that our coaches turn up the heat. I hope there's a whole lot of inside drill going on.
Sure.
Maybe some Oklahoma drill. And right now, for the team, it's way bigger than just game day. The preparation will ultimately tell you how you're going to perform on that game day, whether it's a Friday or Saturday or whatever day it might be, a Thursday. So I expect a huge turnaround with this team. I predict it because it's enough time to sit and let these losses sink in. And I know, we all understand what it feels like as former Mountaineer players. A loss isn't just a loss. I mean, you feel like, you let a whole bunch of people down, you let the Mountaineer Nation down, and you don't want to keep doing that. So now, if I was TCU, I'd be really concerned because when the musket fires, it usually hits its mark, and that's what's going to happen. I firmly believe that. But now it's on the coaching staff to regroup and say, okay, how can we get these guys on the same page?
Okay.
So
Yes,
I want
sir.
to get to you because defensively, I think we feel the same way.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, let our hitters hit. Put the players out there that's hungry, that want to play. What do you expect our defense, how do you expect them to recover from 693 yards?
Man, the numbers again.
693 yards on being thrown to run, whatever, because it seemed like they did whatever they wanted to do.
Yes, sir.
Put up on your defense. How do you recover from that, and how do you prepare for the next game?
Well, what I would like to do is bring back the players I had last year that played TCU. That's what I would like to do if I could. But
They're somewhere, aren't they?
I guess the NCAA won't let me do that. So I guess I got to go with what I got, and I got no problem with that. What we're going to have to do, man, is of course, we get the opportunity to look at a lot of film, see what we did against them last year because we had them last year.
That's right.
We had them last year.
That's right.
And we let them off the hook. This year, they feel like they're the top dog, but let's go back and look at them for a little bit. Because Texas Tech had those guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, I'm not putting anything against Texas Tech, but Texas Tech showed people the way. You can score on these guys. What we need to do on the defensive side of the ball, we need to go back to what we do. I mean, I want to go back and see our guys flying around, like Ed say, bringing that swagger back, having some fun, because at the end of the day, it is a game. You want to have fun out there and play Mountaineer football. I mean, let's be aggressive. I think right now, and I'm not knocking Tony Gibson, I know Tony, I think we're a little bit on our heels right now. And we're reacting instead of acting. I want to see our guys start being more aggressive, playing defense the way we play defense, and let us dictate what we do, opposed to sitting back a little bit.
Let's them adjust.
You know, like Gary said, if they're getting 600 yards throwing, well, you know what? I'm not going to quarterback out the game.
Right.
I mean, I got to go after the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean?
I'm getting mad at the game. I'll be honest with you. It's a couple games that I've been in where guys have either said something that I didn't like, or they did something I didn't like, and you know, I gave them some choice words to let them know that this is over with.
I'm sure. Yeah, this is you got to go after this quarterback.
This is over.
And he's a good quarterback now. Boykins, Boykins, am I correct? Right? Yeah, a nice, good quarterback. Experienced quarterback, can do a lot of things. Another thing too, I see what's hurting us too. We're not putting the quarterback on the ground. I mean, when they are running the ball,
right?
You know what I mean. And this guy's gonna run it. Yeah, he's gonna run it. Yeah, this guy's gonna run it. He's gonna run it. No question about it. He's gonna test us and see. And we have the defense. You know what's disappointing is that this was supposed to be the strength of our team.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I was told from guys that found the Mountaineers, got an opportunity to go out there in the summer, told, you should see this defense over here. They look unbelievable.
Our defense might be one of the best.
I heard about
that.
I heard that.
Anytime I hear that, my eyebrows go straight to the
Well, Beasley called me up in that 93 team and pointed for Aaron Beasley like, are you serious, Tone? I said, I'm just telling you what they told me, all the fellow Mountaineer guys. So go ahead, Tom.
No, I just wanted to look at that. I would give my take on what I would expect, or at least what I would want from the team. From a coaching standpoint, you give your players a couple days to relax. Not necessarily relax, but maybe half shells. Get their legs back. Give them a couple days to sort of get their movement, deal with the injury from the Baylor loss, and whatever Baylor put on you, hopefully you wash that off. Then you come back the next week, and I expect the first couple of days of practice to be pushed hard. I want you mad and angry with the way that I pushed you in practice. With the amount of gases I made you run, how many times you ran the same play over and over again. And I want you to be irritable come the following Saturday when we play TCU. I want you to feel like, you know, I had to go through all of this just to play you. And hopefully for some of the young guys that'll be there next year to remember that practice and hopefully get us some revenge on Baylor. But that's looking far ahead. Okay? But what I do expect to see is maybe a better game plan. Looking at putting up big numbers. Because right now that's what it takes. That's what it takes right now to be in the Big 12. You must score. And despite the numbers that we see here, it's not getting it done in our league.
That's right.
And so that's something that we're going to have to adjust to in order to be consistent and to be competitive in Big 12 play.
Hey, you know, one thing I'm glad that dust is settling. I'm not hearing the Skylar Howard question about should he be playing anymore. That's our quarterback.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and put that to rest. He's our quarterback. He's our guy. Let's give him all the support he needs.
For our Mountaineer fans out there, we want to take some questions from the audience. Does anybody have any questions concerning our current Derry VU football team, our players, or anything else concerning Derry VU? Go ahead, sir.
I'm wondering why Wendell Smallwood isn't getting the majority of the carries.
That's a tough question.
It's
a good question.
I'm sure a lot of people are asking that.
And that's a hard question for me to answer because I think I see the same thing that you see. I think here he is, second leading in the Big 12, first on our team, despite being a backup. I'm a guy who I think has just a little bit more speed, a little bit more quickness than the starter, and Russell Shell, and just someone who I think consistently makes plays for us. So I'll be honest, I can't answer that question for you because I would like to see him get the ball more. Can any of you offer anything on that?
No, I think you just summed it up, Gary. I think you just summed it up. I mean, outside of being the offensive coordinator or what's going on at WVU, I don't.
That's just something that I can't understand.
I don't know.
You have the most consistent and most productive offensive weapon. I would be that coach where he'd have to look at me and say, listen, can I start tapping my helmet? I need a break. Because he's a workhorse, and when you feed him the ball, he produces. So why not? It's not broke.
And it can't be for fumbling because they both fumble.
Yeah.
So,
The only advice I would have to that young man is to start to don't get arrogant, don't get cocky or big-headed, but start to kind of call your own name a little bit. Let it be known around your teammates that, hey, I'm a good player.
Yeah,
sure.
Put it on your coaching staff to challenge them to give you more carries to see what you do with the ball.
Yeah, elevate your team. Go ahead and take that step. And that's what we're talking about. I'm seeing everybody a little bit reserved. Man, this is football.
This is football.
This is football. You're supposed to be wide open and straight up animal on the field.
That's right. Thank you again. Excellent question.
Very good question.
Appreciate it. Are there any more questions? Any more questions from the audience? Anyone have any questions about WVU football? West Virginia University? Old or new school?
Now, see, after the show, we'll get a million questions.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Everybody's afraid to be put on TV or something.
Okay. Well, fellas, let's finish talking football. Let's get ready to close out the show.
Okay.
All right. Moving on, we talked stats, we talked football, we talked the previous game.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about TCU somewhat. Let's talk depth, because we talked the next man up sort of frame of mind. So here I am, next man up. I'm hosting the show.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I see that.
Next man up. We're missing Carl Joseph. We're at a 3-3 point in the season. Mm-hmm. We talk about some players that maybe we didn't see previous games that played this week. How do we get some of our younger players playing time, given the fact that we're losing games, so which makes it hard to do, and prepare them for the future?
Well, I'll tell you one, I'll pass it over to Ed. Practice time is very important, and you got a little time here before your next game. I like what the young man Seals did against Baylor.
Yeah.
He went out there and made a play. Even though he's not a wide receiver, he's actually recruited to play quarterback. But at the end of the day, we're football players. That's and, right. As long as you can block, tackle, and run and pass, you're a football player. So he was asked to come on here to help out the team, and he did that. Sometimes I remember when I played with Adrian Morrell, and he would say stuff in practice like, I want the ball more, I want the ball more. And I'm going back to what you said about Smallwood. He would do what he had to do to get the coach's attention that he wanted the ball more. That's right. During this bye time that we have, it's a good chance to experiment, look at some different players, maybe at different positions. I don't say you change everything what you're doing, because you guys are the professionals, the coaches, but it'd be a good chance to look at some guys in season opposed to waiting to spring to get an idea of what can they contribute for you now.
Right. I really believe that is the job of the coaching staff, is to get these guys some time, because eventually they will have to step up if they don't step up early because of an injury or forced to step into play. And a lot of times what you see on teams is that they don't get enough time, and then when something happens and they're forced into play, it's missed assignments. There's all kinds of things that they're not comfortable with being in that environment. I think you still, even when you do, you get on a losing streak or you're behind, you still have to find ways to put those players into the game, because you got to get them ready for the future. Or if the future comes a little faster, in the case of Carl Joseph's backup, you got to be ready. And we all had to wait our turn, but the one thing that I can certainly relate to with and I'm sure these guys can too, is that when you're on that sideline and that game is going on, you want to be a part of it.
Sure.
You don't just want to be cheering on the sideline. You want to have your opportunity to get your name called. Now, you don't want the person in front of you to get hurt, so that's not the way you want to get in the game. But you want to get your number called, and when you do, it's game time. You want to show, first of all, yourself, and then your teammates, and then, the fans, what it is that you're made of, and why you deserve to be on that team and deserve to have that starting position. So I think it's important that we get those guys rotated in there, and I think they got to be ready when it's time.
Okay.
Tone, I'm going to give you our closing remark before we end the show. I want to hear from you something about how our team is going to not just fare, but a positive word or a positive word of encouragement as a former Mountaineer to the current Mountaineers about the season.
Well, I would hope that our young guys and our team continue to listen to their coaching staff. I know they have their best interests, so continue to work hard. There's some things we see that we're doing pretty good or we're doing pretty well. I know it seems a little bit dark right now, but you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know, we just need to go back to what we do. And I think this week and a half, or how much time we have out or have off, will give us a chance to iron out some things that we didn't do very well with. You know, there's some things that we did do good or we did do well. So let's iron it out and get ready to come back and play a very good team. But the one thing about this is that you get another week to do it again.
That's right.
So, you know, you're going against a good team, a great audience down there. We could change this thing around with a win. You know, we win here on Thursday. Next thing you say, okay, all right, now we can go ahead and play. You know, we already got those other guys out of our way now. Now we can go play the Iowa State. And I'm not saying they're going to be easy to beat, but they're not Baylor. They're not TCU. You know what I mean? It'll be Iowa State and Kansas and stuff like that. You know, teams I think we match up very well against. So let's go out here and get this win. And we can bring everything back to where it was with a win right here. And you know what? If anybody can do it, it's the Mountaineers. Because when everyone doubts them, and I'll tell you one thing, I'll put my reputation on it. If we was playing them here on a Thursday night on ESPN,
That'd be a different game.
that's a win.
Turn up
That's
city.
a win now. In the past, that has been a win. But unfortunately, it's in TCU. So keep hanging in there, guys.
Fellas, we're about to close the show. It's been great talking football with you, something that we enjoy doing. I want to remind the fans that are out there watching us right now, please come down and see us every Wednesday night live at Saberton Station, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Or if you don't have the time to come out, come to Saberton Station.
Absolutely.
Watch us online at thedepost.com. Again, don't forget to send your emails to in the huddle at thedepost.com. I just want to close by saying this. Mountaineers love the fight, and that is something that we have been missing from the last 3 games. It used to be a good friend of mine by the name of Anthony Green. When we would hear people talk and say, let's play Mountaineer football, often we would look at each other and say, what's Mountaineer football? Football is football. You go out there and you hit hard, you punch people in the mouth, and you go out, get after it. But now I think after watching our team the last few weeks, I have a good understanding of what Mountaineer football is. And we haven't been playing it.
Okay.
Mountaineer football is hard-nosed, tough action, never giving up the fight, and always being there to the end of the game, despite the outcome. That's what we need to see more from you guys.
Yep.
As a football fan, never a fanatic, just want to say good night and happy birthday once again.
Happy
JT
birthday,
Thompson.
JT. Happy birthday, buddy. Hey, good job, yeah, guy. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right.